All right, we are officially live. I am super excited for those of you who are joining us or jumping on. Hit the refresh button if you can't see this. And as you're jumping on, do me a favor, leave us a comment. Leave us a comment. Let us know that you can hear us just fine. And if you have, and where you're tuning in from tonight, because I know I've shared this in a couple of groups myself, and just want to make sure on my end I can see that we are live, so we are good to go. So I'm super excited tonight on another series of She's Unleashing Her Passion. I have with me tonight Casandra Dyer, who is a self-published author all the way from the UK. And I'm so excited, guys, that she took time out of her evening tonight to come and share with us some tips on, and lessons on self-publishing your book. She's all the way in the UK, so it's like 1 o'clock in the morning there. So super excited to be able to connect with women just, worldwide, international, just, being able to do that. So like I said, she's all the way from the UK. 1 o'clock in the morning there, so we definitely dive right on in. And I appreciate you for saying yes. I knew when you reached out, I was like, I just absolutely got to have her on the show, and be able to share some of this, this knowledge with us, and pretty much how you got started. So just a little bit about her. Like I said, she's 23 years old, so she's 23 years old, young, and Arthur, who lives in the UK, and she's been writing stories since she was a little girl. And tonight, she's gonna, share with us a little bit about her book, what she does, and talk about the basic essentials of how to self-publish your first book. So she'll be sharing some tips and some lessons that she's learned to help you avoid repeating them, right? So that's sometimes the best experience, being able to connect with other women who are willing to share, that knowledge, that information and stuff with you. And I definitely got to give your dad a shout out. We definitely got to give her dad a shout out because of her creative writing, was something that she did for fun. He was, I saw you in the bio when we were talking that, he really encouraged you to write and do something with your talent to be able to bless others with. So super excited. We always need someone to believe in us, and of course, we got to believe in ourselves, but really just someone to push you out there and encourage you to, use your gifts and, to be able to bless other people with it. So ladies, gentlemen, if you guys are jumping on tonight, if you have any questions over anything that we go over, or if you just have some questions, you can drop them in the comment box and I'll make sure we answer those tonight as well, if time permits. But I'm going to go right in. Like I said, we're talking about how to self-publish your first book. And Cassandra, I just, my first question for you is, really just, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your passion is.
Okay, my name's Cassandra. I'm from England. I published a three-part book series and a short novel, a short story as well. The short story, hopefully later on in the year, I can get that turned into a film, which would be quite
Oh,
cool. Yeah, on YouTube. And I've got, so far it's just this complete series and a short story, and I'm working on another book as well. That should be out hopefully next month.
another book.
Yeah.
Whoa, awesome. Okay, and so has writing like always been your passion?
Yeah, like I had quite strict parents, so I wasn't really out playing with other kids. So I guess I used my imagination just to write and keep my mind busy. But it's something that I've always enjoyed, and I honestly didn't think of ever becoming a published author until my dad was like, "You're quite good at this, so you should try." And then I'm glad I did.
Oh wow, that's exciting and stuff. I have a younger daughter, at home who actually loves to write. So I've been telling her like, you should turn this into like a story and things of that sort. So I definitely can see how your dad saw that in you at a young age and just really just encourage you, to write and stuff. So with that, I know you just mentioned, you have how many books do you currently have? Because I know you said you have another
So
book
I've got
coming
four
out.
currently.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have four currently. And I was checking you out. Like I said, I downloaded a couple on my Kindle to, watch them myself. Well, how did you get started as far as like, wanting to write a series or so?
Okay. Yeah. So the first book I published, which is called Success with the Wrong Queen. It's this one here. Oh, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. So this one came from a dream that I had. So this one I decided to turn it into a novel after my dad's advice. So I had to basically teach myself how to self-publish. So I was on Google quite a lot, YouTube, finding out how to do everything. So what I did was I typed up the story. I like to write by hand,
Okay.
which I do think takes quite longer, but that's just something that I enjoy doing is writing by pen, reading over it, writing notes, then typing it up. So if you want to do distribute stories really fast, I would suggest just typing them up straight away. But if you like to write, then handwrite, then that's best as well. Yeah, so I typed it up on Microsoft Word, and then I uploaded it onto on Amazon. It's called Kindle um, Direct Publishing. Yeah. So on there, they give you opportunities to upload on Microsoft the actual document or a PDF file or different types of writing softwares. But I've stuck to Microsoft Word because that's what I know.
Okay.
And then they give you then they give you like options if you want to have it just as an ebook, which you can download on the Kindle store. Or then you can also publish it as a paperback as well, which I think is quite cool because if you want both, you can have both uploaded
Oh,
at
awesome.
once.
And then, so back to that, because one of the things that she said, I don't know if you guys are listening in and picked up on that. She said her first book came to her as a dream that she had, and then she took action from that. And I just was sitting here just thinking about how many times, as women entrepreneurs, sometimes we have these visions, we have these dreams that come to us, but we don't take action on it. So when you got this vision of being able to write this book and put it out there, did you immediately take action, or did you start, ever second guess yourself, or any of that?
Um, I guess you could say I kept stopping and starting. That was mainly because of I was studying at the time. But I was determined to do it. And then seeing the actual book is being delivered to myself, seeing it for the first time, that was even more encouraging. So if you do want to go ahead with publishing, it's going to be scary. Everything you do is scary, but just think of the end vision, seeing it for the first time, holding it for the first time. Those are quite encouraging for yourselves.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are just joining us, I'm here tonight with Cassandra Dyer. She's an author all the way from the UK and sharing with us how to, self-publish your first book. So she's sharing that process, the journey that she went through herself, and hopes that it will help someone tonight or inspire them, to, take action, get unstuck if there's, if there's a book or something that you've been wanting to write, because I believe, that we all probably have like several stories within us, but just really just, making it happen. And I think, a lot of times we think the process. And, I can speak, personally for myself. I've collaborated on a couple of books, but I have some books here that I've, yes, I've written as ebooks, but would like to get them published. But there's one that I've been, really just sitting on for the last year or so. So I'm actually not just speaking to you ladies, I'm speaking to myself, too. And, part of that is, the whole getting stuck. Like I know what it is that, I want to do, and, having that outline. Is there, like, when you were writing a book, did you come up like with the outline first, like what you wanted your chapters to be? Like, how does that work?
Usually I just like to just write and just let my creativity flow. But because this one was from a dream, so I knew exactly what key points I wanted, and then I just started writing around that. So the characters I came up with myself and everything, but the storyline I wrote around that.
Right. And that absolutely makes sense. I'm thinking like when I'm, talking to my clients and we're, trying to come up with ideas and, how to monetize their passion. It's almost like kind of like brain dumping, just write it. Don't worry about trying to, I guess, like edit it or do any of that at that time. Just really just, focus on getting it out. Is that kind of that process?
Um, I would say just one thing I would say is write for you. Obviously,
Mhm.
you want people to buy the book, but it's all about your experience, what you want to write about, and then hopefully readers will purchase it. Yeah, so that's one thing I'd really like to put out there, just to write what's inside of you.
Absolutely. And, in your writing, because I know you said you're like on book number 4 now. So that is, that's exciting when most of us are still trying to get, just the one out and stuff, but you're on book number 4. Has there ever been like a time like where you've experienced kind of like what they call writer's block, or do you even, believe that even exists, writer's block?
I don't believe. Well, it can happen to some people. I do believe it does happen, but it hasn't happened to me, and hopefully it doesn't. Because I would just like sit on the toilet and I can think of a storyline. They just come to me like really fast, and I have to write down on a notepad, either a notepad or on my phone, like the storyline, so I do not forget it.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can be inspired from anything and everything. The TV. I don't read personally myself, but if you would want to read and get inspired by someone else's book, or and another thing as well, you can always look at what someone else has done, see what you like, maybe not dislike, but what you could do better as well.
Hmm. I hope you, and you guys that are tuning in, you definitely have a pen and paper, piece of paper, and are like taking notes, because she's definitely dropped a few gems in there as far as, looking to others that inspire you, and finding that inspiration. I know for me, sometimes it's going out in nature, so it's like being outdoors, getting into like a space where my creativity can flow. And a lot of times it's outside of this house, because when I'm at home, I'm thinking about all this to-do list that I have to do. Are there certain times that you find yourself more inspired to write than others?
Um, as long as like the TV's off, all my distractions are like very minimum, then I can just write and keep writing. But you have to be very strict with yourself. Some people like to set themselves like a word count of how much they want to write a day,
Hmm.
but it's really what you find comfortable doing.
Right. And that you mentioned that, I'll often wonder, because a lot of times I see, being online, you see a lot of challenges, or you see a lot of other people, promoting to, get your book written in, 30 days or 90 days and stuff like that. Do you, like, what is your approach, I guess, or your thought of that? Because, like, I know sometimes, yes, giving yourself a deadline is great, so you can reach that goal, so you're not procrastinating. But then at other times, I'm like, is that just being too strenuous on yourself and making it overwhelming, like to put that much pressure on yourself? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Another piece of advice I would strongly, strongly, strongly like to give out is do not rush. It's good to set yourself a deadline, but the first batch of books that I published of Success to the Wrong Queen in 2017, it had so many mistakes in there because I was rushing. Like, take your
Mhm.
time. I know we want to accomplish things by deadline, but sometimes we have to be realistic in about how we do it and how
Mhm.
soon or how far away that we set them. So, just like I'd like to publish my book for Father's Day, June the 15th. But then I'm looking back and I'm like, I do not want to make the same mistakes over and over again. So,
Right.
if it comes out the end of June, that's fine, or July. But as long as it comes out the best that I can, and end of the day, people are paying for it as well, so they want quality. So rushing makes mistakes.
Yes, absolutely. So with that, like, what's your process like for editing? Like, do you send it out to be edited and get it back and proofread it several times? Like, how does that work for you? Or do you do your own?
Um, I don't do my own editing, and I'll strongly recommend that you don't, because sometimes we read what we want, what we know we want to read, so
Hmm.
we can overlook the mistakes. So I have an auntie, and luckily my neighbor, I've got a close group of people that will read over my book for me, and then we'll just debate like what needs to be changed, or
Hmm.
sometimes even small little mistakes of like putting the wrong character's name that can be made. So in your head, you know who's meant to be speaking or who is speaking, but the name could be incorrect on there. So I'll definitely recommend, if you can get someone professional, then that's even better. But professional editors,
Hmm.
because they're professionals, they do charge a very large sum of money. But it's worth it. So if you can afford it, I'd definitely recommend professional editors.
Absolutely. And what made you go, I guess, want to go the route? Because I know a lot of people are doing that nowadays, going the route of self-publishing versus, back in the day, you would see people going to, like, these big publishing houses.
To be honest, it's just that I couldn't find any at the time. So I wouldn't say don't look for publishers, because they have a great large following, they have the experience, they have the connections, they have the readers as well. So when you're self-publishing, you're a tiny little fish and you're breaking out into the world. So you've got to create your following and your readers basically. So with publishing, you have the help. Self-publishing, you have to help yourself or find people that also self-publish as well.
Right.
So there's pros and cons to both of them.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So back to, a little bit about the process, because I know we touched on it briefly. So if someone is in the process or wants to, like you said, self-publish their book, I know you mentioned Amazon, but there's also like sites like Create Space. What process do you recommend for someone, who's really just getting started and really just, scared to take that next step or overthinking the whole process? Like, what is that, step-by-step process that you go through? So now that you're on book number 4,
So write down your storyline, your characters as well, not everything that you want to put inside of the book. If you want, you can have a professional book cover designer. So look for the things that you need. So an editor, someone that can read over your work, a book cover designer. Some people even go for book formatters as well. So how exactly you want the lines to look in the book and all that great stuff as well. And find out if you want to write it yourself or you want someone else to do it for you, because I know that there's some people that offer services of ghostwriting. Yeah. And then also as well, look into if you want to get it, what formats you want to distribute your book on. So do you want it just to be an ebook, paperback, or there's also Audible, which I'm looking into to do next as well. So that's where they can, you can either hire someone to read it for, read the story for you, or the book, and or you can read it yourself. So that's my next stuff that I'll be doing.
Oh, awesome. That'd be great and stuff. There's a lot of books sometimes that I'm like, oh, I'm still trying to get to, but having it on audio definitely, helps, especially for, the busy moms, busy mompreneurs, so it helps to have it, on audio. But then too, there's nothing that takes away from actually having that book. I like to sometimes highlight and, make my own little notes and markings probably in the book and, those different things. And, one of the things you mentioned was, ghostwriting. Like, what's your experience or what are your thoughts about that? Because I know with that, I'm honest, I'll say, with the book that I was in the process of writing, there were some things that, yes, I, just came to me naturally where I, wrote them down. And, I got to a certain point where I needed a creative writer. So I did try to reach out and hire a ghostwriter, but it was just not in my voice whatsoever. Like the writing, it just didn't sound like me. And then there was some that I, just Googling a couple of things that they had. And I was able to find that those exact wordings are that paragraph somewhere, like where they had totally like plagiarized the information. So like, what are your thoughts? Like if someone is thinking about hiring a ghostwriter, what should they look for?
I would recommend someone that's probably done it before, loads of experience, because then they have people that do reviews. So to say if they did a great service, if they didn't, you can always consider someone that's never done it before, but there's always pros and cons to everything. So it's best to weigh out. And if you have like a strong connection of people, you can always like speak with them about it, because sometimes they can help without even knowing that they're able to help. Because my sister, I know she was tired of me just talking about my story every minute, like, should I do this? Should I do that? If I want to read, and she was the best person that I promise you. Like at the end of the story, I read at the end and she was like, you can do better than that. Like, it's good to have an ear to speak to as well. So if you want to do a ghostwriter, you can search for them and they can do it for you. And also look for people that surround you that can help as well.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I definitely had my experience with the ghostwriter. I was able to get, a refund on it, but it's just like, that was just crazy. Just, like I said, to be able to, I personally was, now I'm like, I've learned from that. And that was one of the things that too kind of like delayed my process because I'm like, oh, okay, this should be great. And the reviews on it were, for this person were actually, pretty good. They weren't bad reviews, but so I was very surprised when I got the work back and I'm like, okay, this sounds nothing like me and it's plagiarized. And they were like, oh, well, they outsourced it. They have a team. So it's important, I guess, to know to make sure the person that you hire to do it is actually going to be the one doing the writings and stuff like that, too. So yeah, so learn from that. So that's one of my experiences I'll share with you guys that are listening in. And so with your books, I know we talked about them. Where are they available? People want to find more out about your books.
Yeah.
Where do you have them at? Where are they? And I'm also, I'll make sure, guys, as you're listening in, that when you go back, these links will be in the comments as well, so you can be able to, get this information and download it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Currently they're available on Amazon, amazon.com.co.uk. Yeah, so currently I've got them on Amazon. I'm looking at putting them on iTunes, Barnes and Noble, and all those type of big platforms as well. But I started off as the most popular company to put them on. Yeah, there's quite a few more. I can even, if anything, after this, I can comment a few more that websites that I've seen that you can upload stories onto as well.
Okay, and you're
Oh,
welcome to drop that in the comments. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
thank you. And so another thing, sorry, I forgot to mention. When you publish a book, you've got royalties. So that means how much you get paid. So on Amazon, you can either get 70% of the royalties that go to you, or 35%. So those are two things to look into as well. I haven't experienced it myself, but I've heard that if you put it down as you get 35%, that Amazon like you a bit more, if that makes sense.
So
When
if
it
you
comes to
so what was the percentages again? You said if you get
so 35% or
mhm,
70%.
70.
Yeah, 70.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so okay, that makes sense. Okay, I can see, yes, they would favor you more at the 35%
If you
because they're
give them
getting
more
a little bit
money.
more of the cut. So they would probably, yes. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like 35 and 17. I'm like, that don't sound right.
Sorry.
That. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And another thing,
Mhm.
when you publish a book, because hopefully you'll be inspired, you can always look at the ratings. So on your page, you can see, for example, my book's called Success to the Wrong Queen. So it shows the number that it's on. So it could be like number 22,000 out of all the books on Amazon. But when you become like one of the top 10 bestsellers, you don't actually get notified. So always keep checking so you can keep on track of what number you're doing, how well you're doing on the sales. And so the most I've got to is top 25th. And I
Mhm.
had to keep checking. So that's something that I have mentioned to Amazon, is that it would be nice to know when you've reached the top 100 instead of keeping
Right.
checking. So if you do publish, just keep checking as well. And hopefully you all get to number one.
Now, are there tips for that? Because I do see people like that promote and say, "Hey, I can get you an Amazon bestseller," etc. Is there, tips for that, or
um,
or did yours just happen just naturally, organically?
well, I was advised by someone that was a number one bestseller before. 'Cause it's good to network as well. Not just to learn from people, but it's good to know people as well. But so yeah, I was advised by someone that was number one, and he said, put your book up for 99 pence.
Okay.
So that's something I did try, and luckily by then I did get to number 25 on the chart. So I guess lowering the price is also encouraging as well for
Hmm.
more sales. So that's a good thing. And another thing as well, when you do publish your book, one mistake that I made is I priced my books too high. To be honest, no one knew me at the time, or not everyone knows me. So for a new author to see that your book's like $7.99, the ebook, and everyone else is $2.99, um, they are gonna more likely go to the more cheaper one. So I would advise, for if when you first start, price your books at a reasonable price. So look at what other people are pricing their books as well, to help with the sales, because that's one thing that I learned.
Right. So how does that work? I guess kind of like with the printing when you're doing that, because like I know like for the books that I did, I haven't, written any of my own books, but just collaborated on it. So I know there's, okay, I can get them at this price and then sell them at this price. How does that, I guess that work when you're printing, like on average, like to print a book?
Yeah, so sorry, I haven't mentioned that either. Once you publish your book onto Amazon, you get to look through it first of all to make sure everything's all correct, and then on the next page you get to price it yourself. So they weigh out on how many pages there are, and then how much it will cost per book to print. So for example, part one, it only has 108 pages, I think it is, and in the UK that costs to print one £1.70. So if you want, then you can always buy it in bulk. So if
Mhm.
you want to buy 20 for now and then sell them through your website, and then you can put them up for how much you want to sell them for. So in the UK, these go for £7.99 for one, and I found that to be like a great price for it.
Mhm.
So like I mentioned before, just have a look at what other people are selling them for,
Okay.
and yeah.
Okay, that's great. So then I guess when someone purchases a physical book, so they have the option to, when they purchase it directly from Amazon, or either purchase it from your website.
Oh,
Right.
no, sorry. So, when you upload it onto Amazon, Amazon will, as soon as someone buys it for you, they print it for you and then ship it to their home as well. So that's where they take a fee for printing it and
Mhm.
also to deliver it as well. Whereas if you just buy like a bulk, like about
Right.
20, and then get it delivered to your home, and then you can have your own website up and then sell them through there. So as soon as someone buys it, then you can ship it out yourself. So you have two options. You can do both if you want.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. This has definitely have been definitely valuable, and I, especially for those of you who are going back, listen to the replay and stuff, because I know we get a lot of replay viewers. Make sure thank Cassandra for the information, so being able to share this, because people are charging for this to be able to share their expertise. So I think it's a blessing whenever you can have someone to be able to pour into you and share their experiences, their journey, what they've been through in that process, really just to empower and encourage other women, or men, if you're listening in, to, write that book, get it out of your head onto paper and into the hands of others. Bless them with your story, your experiences, your information, whether it's a business, life, or, just writing, a certain genre of books. I believe that we all have, like I said, a book or two within us. And before I wanted to ask you, like, out of your books, what's your favorite one? I know I downloaded a couple. There's so that I can read and stuff. Me being an entrepreneur, a lot of times the stuff that I'm reading is a lot of business books, and I honestly haven't read like kind of like a nonfiction book since like almost like my college years. I used to be really into like something kind of like your Eric Jerome Dickey, Terry. I can't even remember the name, but me and my best friend would always like read and pass books along and stuff. So I'm really looking forward, to diving into the book and just really unplugging from some of the business stuff and checking out your readings. But from your series of what you have written so far, what has been your favorite book?
I think it'd have to be the final one, mainly because I'm in love with the cover. So I'll show
Mhm.
you just quickly. That's the first one. Oh,
Hold over a little bit. Yep.
the first
Okay.
one, and then part two, Success with the Right Queen, and then the finale, which I love. The
So there's a
cover.
finale. Okay. So the
Yeah,
finale
there's
is
the
the third
finale.
book.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I got one book one. So I was like, I need to get one at a time. So I got book
Okay.
one is what I will look at.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the finale. So three is the finale, and it's your favorite one.
That's my favorite. And it's so sad because you get attached to the characters as well. So when you've completed it as well, it's hard to let go.
Right, absolutely. And but is that the one that you? Is this the book that you're thinking about though, turning into a story, into like a
Yeah, this hopefully one day will be also in a film, but it's a short story called Diary of a Savage. Um,
Oh, nice.
briefly, yeah, briefly, it's just uh, a couple that's dating. Everything's going great. Valentine's Day is coming up. She doesn't know what her partner's gonna do for her. She manages to see his phone. It's unattended. She goes through it, sees some things, and then it goes from there.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
Can't wait to. Okay, so you got to make that happen. Looking forward to that. So definitely, be in touch. We're connected now. So, before we end, where else can people find you? Like, where are you hanging out on social media? I think we all have a social media, now.
yeah, so I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Cass is Creative. It sounds like a mouthful, so I'll always put it in the comments. And could I just
Okay.
mention one more thing as well for the
Yes,
books?
yes, absolutely.
When you publish a book, you are your own promoter so you have to put your books out there as well. So when you publish it, you can't expect the people just to find it. So use the correct keywords. So if it's about opening a company, use the correct keywords that link to that so people can find it easier. And also you can always hire promoters as well that post the books for you.
I'm glad
So
you mentioned that.
very important. Yeah.
And then Corinne said she loves your cover art. It's really nice and
Thank
stuff. So,
you.
so I'm not for sure if the comment is showing up on the Facebook Live, but I can see them here. I'm not for sure if you can see them on your end. But yes, the cover art, like you said, I love that it's really bright. It definitely stands out and catches your attention. That was one of the first things when I was on Amazon, checking it out and stuff. So yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the marketing because I did write that down. There was something you said earlier, and I was like, okay, so how do you get your book out there? Because a lot of times people probably think if I write it, they will come. So like what has worked for you? Have you done like the book signings or what's been your strategy? Like how did you get, I know you said you lowered your prices when you first came out and did like a special to get to like Amazon's 25, but how else do you market it? I know we met on social media, so I saw you in of course using social media to market, but if you could share a few tips.
Yeah, so I've joined Facebook groups. I would also recommend this as well. Type in, so my genre is urban fiction. So I typed in urban fiction groups and I found so many groups. And you get to promote in there as well. So it's full of readers, also authors, so you can network as well. I've hired a promoter and she's helped as well. So she promotes for me. And it also helps me frees up my time so I can get to write while she's promoting for me. So, and another thing I'd like to mention, we can't do it all. So sometimes it's great to have someone that can help us as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was just as you wrote that, I'm like, oh, there's another nugget. Did you guys get that gem? Like you cannot do it alone. So definitely network, tapping into your resources, outsource what you can. Like she said, her gift is writing. So being able to, hire a promoter to help her get her book out there, and then she can focus on what it is that she actually is passionate and enjoys doing. So that is, definitely a nugget. And I know a lot of times people say, I can't afford to, hire an editor and things of that sort. But I also say, maybe you can't afford not to, especially if it's going to derail you and cause you to be procrastinating on making it happen and getting your book out there and stuff. So it's definitely to do it, to write that book. She shared so many gems and nuggets tonight on really on how to get your book out of your head on paper and how to publish it and not overthink it. Because a lot of times I just hear just about create space. So for me, it was eye-opening for me as well, just, realizing, oh, I can go straight to Amazon or,
Yeah.
and just knowing, too, as far as like what we need as far as a team, like you said, we need an editor, figure out how we're going to have the book formatted, all these different things, a ghostwriter, if that's the direction that you choose, somebody to help promote the book, all these different things. So again, it just reminded me that there's several people that help you pull your vision together. So definitely glad that you were able to share that. So if you guys haven't, you definitely I want to make sure that you guys, before we get off, that you check her out over at Cass's Creative, and you can find her books over at Amazon. And I'll make sure all those links are in our comments before we we sign off tonight. And you can also plug in over at LaKeishaHankins.com, as this interview will be, uploaded there, along with all of her information on where you can purchase her books and learn more about, what she's doing. Because I'm super, like I said, I'm super excited. Thank you. Because I know it's late over there on your time, so I'm definitely trying to be respectful of your time. But are there any questions or anything else that you want to share before we end tonight?
Yes. Create Space is now joined up with Amazon KDP, so it's all in one now. So that's really great.
Oh, nice.
And also, one more thing. I think it was reviews. Yeah, reviews. I think it was reviews. There's one more thing that I wanted to mention. No matter what, I feel like when you publish as well, that's your baby. Nobody's ever perfect, so there's always, I'm in some groups and there's a few authors that get a bit upset when they get like a negative comment. If you ever do, hopefully you don't, but take it as positive criticism. So for example, if they said one chapter was a bit too short, so just know next time that maybe we should do them a bit longer. If people keep mentioning it, then maybe it's something you definitely need to do. But try not to take it to heart whenever someone, or if anyone ever says anything a bit discouraging. Just try to learn from that, or at least just listen to it and then brush it off if you need to.
Right, absolutely. Like you say, you take it with a grain, kind of like with a grain of salt, implement it where it applies, and you learn from it. You learn from the experiences, but don't allow it to stop you from writing, especially if you have a book inside of you. Like you said, you just keep moving forward, and you take their feedback as constructive criticism and run with it, and it just makes you a better writer, I believe, at the end of the day and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a blessing. I thank you so much for, saying yes to, getting on here and sharing with us the steps that it takes to become a self-published author. So I'm excited. You definitely have encouraged me to, definitely stop procrastinating on the book that I have over here, or, even just taking some of my old blogs that I, had and, turning those into a book, and stuff. So yeah, so I'm excited. I just want to check real quick, make sure there aren't any other questions. And 1 second. Okay, I think we are good. And like I said, as you guys, when you're getting on, if you do have any questions, type them in the comments. Of course, we'll come back, check the comments, and today, tomorrow, or so, and get those questions answered. And I will make sure you have Cassandra's information on how to connect with her. Thank you again, Cassandra, for joining me tonight, and all the way from the UK. I know it's late; they're like 1 o'clock 1:30 in the morning, and stuff. So thank you, and I hope you're able to get some sleep after this. I'm easily wired up and excited. So
okay, thanks for having me. Okay.
Thank you. You have a great night.
Thanks. All right, bye.